President Janet Miller stood before the assembled representatives of the Independent Systems Alliance in the Orbital Conference Center above New Geneva. 5 years had passed since humanity rejected the Federation, and the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The ISA now included 47 different species, all united by their refusal to submit to Federation control. Friends and allies, she began, speaking to beings that looked nothing like humans but shared the same desire for freedom. We gather today not as subjects of a distant authority, but as equals choosing our own path among the stars. Each of our species brings unique gifts to this alliance. Each maintains complete control over their own destiny. In the front row sat Commander Keth of the Corvani, whose people had become humanity's closest allies. Beside him floated Ambassador Zixtar of the energy beings from Rigel 7, who communicated through patterns of light. Representatives from dozens of other worlds filled the chamber, each bringing their own perspective to the growing alliance. Admiral C. Steve Brooks reviewed fleet reports from across ISA space. His navy had grown into something the galaxy had never seen before. Human ships incorporated technology from every alliance member, creating vessels that followed no established design principles. Corvani stealth systems allowed them to appear and disappear at will. Rigelian energy manipulation gave them weapons that bent the laws of physics. Zephyrian shield technology made them nearly indestructible. The latest intelligence reports are troubling, he told his staff officers. Federation forces are massing near our borders. They're calling it routine exercises, but our sources inside their territory say otherwise. Captain Ashley Brown commanded the Joint ISA Defense Fleet stationed at the Alliance's edge. Her ships included crews from 12 different species, all working together in ways that would have been impossible under Federation rules. Human creativity combined with alien innovation had produced military units that operated more like living organisms than traditional fleets. Federation patrol increasing activity in sectors 7 through 12, her intelligence officer reported. They're testing our response times and defensive positions. Ashley studied the tactical display showing Federation ships moving in predictable patterns along their borders. After 50,000 years of absolute authority, they could not believe that anyone would seriously challenge them. Their formations followed ancient doctrines that assumed enemies would fight according to established rules. Dr. Kevin Walsh made another breakthrough in his archaeological research on the ancient ruins. His team had discovered evidence that the Federation had systematically destroyed or hidden information about previous galactic civilizations. The pattern was always the same. Any species or alliance that offered an alternative to Federation control was eliminated or forced to submit. Look at these records, he told his research team. The Vorthan Empire existed 30,000 years ago. They built a confederation similar to our alliance. The Federation destroyed them by turning their member species against each other through economic pressure and military threats. What about the others? His assistant asked. Same pattern every time. The Federation identifies any group that might challenge their authority. They isolate them politically. They apply economic pressure. If that doesn't work, they use military force. They've done this hundreds of times over the millennia. Walsh's discoveries were transmitted to every ISA world and shared with moderate Federation species who were beginning to question their government's actions. For the first time in galactic history, detailed evidence of Federation suppression was being distributed openly. On Earth, engineer Maria Santos worked with teams from allied species to develop new defensive technologies. Her latest breakthrough came from combining human engineering with Corvani quantum mechanics and Rigelian energy manipulation. The result was a shield system that could protect entire star systems from attack. The beauty is in the simplicity, she explained to President Miller during a demonstration. Federation weapons are designed to penetrate known shield types. Our system doesn't work like any known technology, so their weapons just pass through harmlessly. How long before we can install these on all Alliance worlds? Miller asked. 6 months for the major population centers. A year for complete coverage. After that, the Federation could throw their entire fleet at us and not cause any real damage. The breakthrough that changed everything came when Dr. Walsh's team discovered ancient Federation archives hidden in a derelict space station. The files contained the complete history of Federation expansion, including detailed records of every species they had destroyed or assimilated. "This is genocide," Walsh said as he read through file after file. "They didn't just conquer these civilizations. They systematically erased them from history. Billions of beings died because they refused to conform. The evidence was overwhelming. The Federation had maintained power for 50,000 years by eliminating anyone who offered an alternative. They had destroyed hundreds of civilizations and wiped out entire species whose only crime was thinking differently." President Miller authorized the release of the archives to every species in the galaxy. The response was immediate and explosive. Federation member worlds that had never questioned their government began demanding answers. Protests erupted on dozens of core Federation planets. Chancellor Vextar of the Federation Council issued an emergency decree declaring the ISA a terrorist organization. All contact with Alliance members was forbidden. Any Federation citizen caught with ISA materials would face immediate arrest. Trade with Alliance worlds became punishable by exile. "They're scared," Admiral Brooks told his commanders during an emergency meeting. "For the first time in 50,000 years, they're facing opposition they can't easily eliminate. We're not one species they can isolate. We're not a single world they can blockade. We're an idea that's spreading faster than they can contain it." The crisis reached its peak when 3 entire Federation worlds requested transfer to ISA protection. The planets housed nearly 2 billion beings who no longer wanted to live under Federation control. The request was unprecedented in galactic history, and Federation law had no provisions for handling it. Captain Ashley Brown received orders to escort the refugee fleets from the 3 worlds to safety in Alliance space. The operation would require moving the largest civilian population in galactic history, while Federation forces tried to stop them. "This isn't just a rescue mission," she told her fleet commanders. "This is a test of everything we believe in. If we can protect these people, we prove that the Alliance offers real security. If we fail, the Federation wins by showing that resistance is futile." The Federation Council issued its final ultimatum on the 5th anniversary of humanity's rejection of membership. Chancellor Vextar's message was broadcast across the galaxy in every known language. The organization, calling itself the Independent Systems Alliance, has 30 days to disband. All member species must submit to Federation authority immediately. Any species that refuses will be considered in rebellion against galactic law. The Federation has the right and obligation to restore order through any means necessary. President Miller received the ultimatum while meeting with Alliance leaders on the Corvani homeworld. The assembled representatives included beings from 47 worlds, all facing the same choice: submit to Federation control or fight for their right to exist. "They're offering us the same deal they gave humanity 5 years ago," she told the gathered delegates. "Join them and give up everything that makes us unique. The difference is now we're not alone. We have each other and we have something they don't understand." "What is that?" asked Ambassador Zixtar, his light patterns showing curiosity. "We have the right to choose our own path. They've forgotten that freedom is worth fighting for. We're about to remind them." The galaxy held its breath as the 30-day deadline approached. For the first time in 50,000 years, the Federation faced organized resistance from multiple species working together. The outcome would determine whether diversity could survive in a universe that demanded conformity. Dr. Ryan Mitchell stood before the most advanced computer humanity had ever built. The machine filled an entire building on Luna and operated using principles that Federation science considered impossible. Instead of following the rigid computational methods used throughout the galaxy, Ryan's team had embraced chaos and uncertainty as tools for solving problems. "Run the simulation again," he told his assistant. The quantum computer began processing data in ways that made no logical sense, but somehow produced perfect results every time. Where Federation computers required exact inputs and followed predictable patterns, the human machine learned and adapted like a living thing. "Sir, the results are ready," his assistant said. "The new star drive calculations show we can travel 3 times faster than our current ships. The efficiency ratings are off the charts." Ryan smiled as he studied the data. 2 years had passed since the Federation abandoned humanity. In that time, human technology had advanced faster than in the previous 2 centuries combined. Without alien rules to follow, human scientists were discovering things that had been hidden for thousands of years. Captain Nicole Davis commanded the first fleet of ships built with the new technology. Her squadron of 12 vessels could travel faster than anything in the galaxy, while remaining completely invisible to Federation sensors. The ships used Maria Santos's energy source and Ryan Mitchell's quantum computers to perform feats that should have been impossible. New contact bearing 27 Mark IV, her sensor operator reported. Single ship unknown configuration approaching at sublight speed. Nicole studied the readings on her screen. They were deep in unexplored space, far from any Federation territory. The approaching ship used technology she did not recognize, but it was definitely not human. "Open a communication channel," she ordered. "This is Captain Nicole Davis of the human exploration vessel UES Pioneer. Please identify yourself." The alien voice that answered spoke in heavily accented English. "Human ship, this is unexpected. I am Commander Keth of the Corvani Defense Force. We received your transmission but thought it was impossible. No Federation species would venture into quarantine space." "We're not a Federation species," Nicole replied. "We rejected their membership. We're here to explore and make new friends if possible." There was a long pause before Commander Keth responded. "You rejected the Federation? This is not possible. No species refuses their protection." "Humanity did. We're here to prove that other paths exist." Several hours later, Nicole found herself aboard the Corvani ship meeting with beings that looked remarkably like humans except for their silver eyes and pointed ears. Commander Keth led her to a conference room where several other officers waited. "We have been quarantined by the Federation for 800 years, Keth explained. "They say we are too unpredictable to join galactic civilization. Our people refuse to follow their rigid social structures. We ask too many questions. We change too quickly. They consider us dangerous." Nicole laughed and shook her head. "They said the same things about us. Apparently humans and Corvani have a lot in common." General Peter Collins reviewed the military reports from across human space. The new defense initiative had transformed human military thinking in ways that amazed even him. Without Federation doctrine to follow, human commanders were developing tactics that no enemy could predict or counter. "Show me the latest war game results," he told his staff. The holographic display showed human forces defeating simulated Federation fleets using strategies that broke every rule of galactic warfare. Human ships attacked from impossible angles. They used their environment as a weapon. They worked together in ways that confused and overwhelmed traditional military thinking. "The Federation trains for battles that follow established patterns," one of his officers explained. "They expect enemies to behave according to known military principles. Our forces don't follow any established principles. We make up new rules for every engagement." Diplomat Grace Kim worked with translation teams to communicate with dozens of non-Federation species. Her job was to build relationships with civilizations that the Federation had ignored or quarantined. So far, she had made contact with 18 different alien cultures. "The Zephyrians are interested in joining an alliance," she reported to Earth Command. "They've been isolated for 2,000 years because they refuse to abandon their religious practices. The Federation demanded they worship according to approved methods." Each species Grace contacted had the same basic story. They possessed some quality that made them unsuitable for Federation membership. Some were too creative. Others asked too many questions. Many refused to abandon cultural practices that the Federation found disruptive. All of them had been forced to survive alone in a galaxy dominated by conformity. Dr. Ryan Mitchell's team made their biggest breakthrough while studying artifacts recovered from an ancient archaeological site. Captain Davis had discovered the ruins during one of her exploration missions. The technology was millions of years old and operated using principles that predated the Federation by eons. "These power readings don't match anything in our database," Mitchell told his team. "This civilization was using energy sources that make our quantum computers look like toys." The ancient machines were still functional after millions of years. They contained vast libraries of information about galactic history and technology development. Most importantly, they revealed that the Federation was not the first galactic civilization. Many others had existed before them. "Look at this data," Mitchell's assistant said. "These records show at least 12 different galactic civilizations over the past 50 million years. Each one lasted between 10 and 20,000 years before collapsing." "What happened to them?" Mitchell asked. "According to these records, they all followed the same pattern. They started as alliances of different species working together. Over time, they became more rigid and controlling. Eventually, they stopped growing and adapting. When they could no longer change, they died." Mitchell felt a chill as he realized what this meant. The Federation was following the same path as all the failed civilizations before them. Their rigid rules and refusal to change meant they were already dying. They just did not know it yet. Captain Davis received Mitchell's report while conducting first contact operations with another non-Federation species. The implications were staggering. Humanity had not just rejected a galactic government. They had rejected a pattern of failure that had repeated itself for millions of years. "Forward this information to all human colonies and allied species," she ordered her communications officer. "Everyone needs to know what we're really dealing with." Grace Kim organized the first interspecies independence conference on a neutral world in the Corvani system. Representatives from 23 non-Federation species attended along with human diplomats and scientists. For the first time in galactic history, free civilizations were working together to build something new. "We're not trying to replace the Federation," Kim told the assembled delegates. "We're trying to prove that cooperation is stronger than control, that diversity makes us all stronger instead of weaker." The conference lasted 3 days and ended with the formation of the Independent Systems Alliance. Each member species retained complete autonomy while agreeing to share technology and provide mutual defense. The alliance had no capital world and no central authority. Decisions were made by consensus and participation was completely voluntary. As news of the alliance spread across the galaxy, something unexpected happened. Federation member species began requesting information about joining the new organization. For the first time in 50,000 years, beings were asking to leave the Federation and try something different. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had started it all by simply saying no to rules they did not want to follow. Captain Ben Rogers guided his cargo ship toward the Wolf 359 trading station. 6 months had passed since humanity rejected the Federation. 6 months of complete silence from the galaxy. His ship carried food and supplies for the human colonies, but he hoped to trade for rare metals and alien technology like in the old days. The trading station appeared on his screen as a dark shape against the stars. No lights blinked on its surface. No ships moved around its docking bays. No radio signals came from its communication arrays. Ben felt his stomach drop as he realized what he was seeing. "Station Control, this is UES Pathfinder requesting docking permission," he called into his radio. Only static answered him. He tried different frequencies and languages but got nothing back. The station was completely empty. Ben suited up and took a small shuttle to investigate. The docking bay doors were sealed but not locked. Inside, he found a scene that made no sense. Tables, full of food, sat half-eaten. Cargo containers were left open with their contents spilling onto the floor. Personal items lay scattered everywhere as if their owners had left in a great hurry. In the station commander's office, Ben found a message recorder still blinking with an unplayed message. He activated it and watched as a familiar alien face appeared. Commander Zixval had been Ben's main trading partner for 3 years. The blue-skinned reptilian looked worried as he spoke. "To any humans who received this message, I am sorry. The Federation Council has issued Emergency Order 779. All contact with your species is now forbidden. Any being caught trading with humans will face exile or worse. We must close all operations in human space immediately. I want you to know that many of us think this is wrong, but we have no choice. Good luck, Captain Rogers. I hope we meet again someday." Ben sat in the empty office and stared at the message. Emergency Order 779. He had never heard of such a thing. The Federation was using their power to cut humanity off from the rest of the galaxy. No trade, no communication, no help of any kind. Earth and its colonies were truly alone. On Mars engineer Maria Santos worked 18 hours a day in her laboratory. The isolation meant humanity had to develop their own technology without alien help. The challenge was enormous, but Maria loved impossible challenges. Her team had already made 3 major breakthroughs in the past month. "Show me the test results again," she said to her assistant. The data appeared on her screen showing energy readings that should not exist. Their new power source created more energy than it consumed. Federation science said this was impossible, but Maria had never cared much about what others said was impossible. "How are we doing this?" her assistant asked. "The Federation has been working on power generation for thousands of years. How can we beat them in 6 months?" Maria smiled and pointed to a wall covered with failed experiments. "They stopped trying new things centuries ago. They follow rules that tell them what will work and what will not. We just try everything and see what happens. Half our ideas fail, but the other half teach us something new." The breakthrough that changed everything came during a test of their new power source. Maria was trying to create a small energy field when something unexpected happened. The field did not form around her equipment. Instead, it formed around empty space itself. The energy had found a way to exist without matter, to contain it. "That's not possible," her assistant said, staring at the readings. "Apparently it is," Maria replied. "We just proved it. Now we need to figure out what it means." Dr. Amy Johnson studied the psychological reports from colonies across human space. She expected to find despair and fear after the Federation abandoned them. Instead, she found something completely different. Humans were working harder than ever. They were more creative. They were more determined. Being told they could not survive alone seemed to make them stronger. "Look at these productivity numbers," she told her research team. "Every human colony is showing massive increases in innovation and problem solving. It's like being rejected by the Federation freed us from trying to copy them." Commander Alex Turner received similar reports from military outposts. Human soldiers and officers were developing new tactics and strategies at an incredible pace. Without Federation military doctrine to follow, they were creating their own way of fighting. The results were impressive and completely unpredictable. "The Federation military uses the same battle plans they developed 10,000 years ago," Alex explained to his staff. "They work, but everyone knows exactly what to expect. Our people are trying new things every day. No one knows what humans will do next, including ourselves." On Earth, Admiral Karen Hayes watched the reports from across human space with growing excitement. The Federation had meant to punish humanity by cutting them off. Instead, they had given humans the greatest gift possible: complete freedom to be themselves. No rules to follow, no permission to ask for, no aliens telling them what they could and could not do. Captain Ben Rogers returned to Earth with news of the empty trading stations. He met with government leaders and military commanders to share what he had learned. The Federation's isolation was complete, but humanity was adapting faster than anyone expected. "They think we'll come crawling back begging for membership," Admiral Hayes told the assembled leaders. "They think we can't survive without them. They're about to learn something important about humans. We don't give up and we don't go backwards." Maria Santos made her presentation to the same group of leaders. Her new energy source could power starships faster and more efficiently than anything the Federation used. More importantly, it worked using principles that Federation science claimed were impossible. "How long before we can build ships using this technology?" Admiral Hayes asked. "Give me 6 more months," Maria replied. "We'll have a prototype ready for testing. Give me a year and we'll have a fleet that can outrun anything the Federation has." Dr. Johnson presented her psychological findings last. Human populations across space were not just surviving the isolation, they were thriving in ways that surprised everyone, including herself. "The Federation isolation may be the best thing that ever happened to us," she concluded. "We're no longer trying to fit into their civilization. We're building our own, and it's unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen." As the meeting ended, Captain Rogers shared one more piece of information. During his journey home, he had detected signals from non-Federation species, primitive civilizations that the Federation ignored or avoided. Some of them were trying to make contact with human ships. "We're not as alone as the Federation wants us to believe," he said. "There are others out there who don't belong to their club. Maybe it's time we introduced ourselves. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the massive chamber and felt very small. The walls stretched up so high he could not see the top. Thousands of beings filled the space around him. Some looked like giant crystals that glowed with inner light. Others had too many arms or eyes in strange places. A few floated in the air without touching the ground. Jake had seen many alien species during his years as a starship captain, but nothing like this. Ambassador Paul Garrett walked beside him wearing his best diplomatic suit. The man looked calm, but Jake could see the tension in his shoulders. This was the biggest moment in human history. First contact with a galactic civilization that had ruled the stars for 50,000 years. Earth had waited 300 years for this chance. The Federation Council chamber buzzed with alien voices speaking in languages that hurt Jake's ears. Translation devices worked to turn the sounds into words he could understand. Most of the talk was about humanity, the new species, the primitives from a small yellow star. Jake tried not to let it bother him, but his hands formed fists anyway. Dr. Lisa Chang sat in the observation area above the main floor. She held a data pad that showed information about each alien species in the chamber. Her job was to study them and help Earth understand what they were dealing with. So far, she had counted representatives from 400 different worlds. Each one followed the same basic rules. Each one looked the same in how they acted and spoke. It worried her. A loud sound filled the chamber. All the alien voices stopped at once. A being made of living crystal walked to the center of the room. It stood 20 feet tall and light poured from every surface of its body. When it spoke, the sound came from everywhere at once. I am Chancellor Vextar of the Federation Council. We gathered today to welcome a new species to galactic civilization. The humans of Sol 3 have achieved faster than light travel. They have proven they can think beyond their home world. Now they must prove they can follow the rules that keep our galaxy peaceful. Jake watched as a massive book appeared in the air above the chamber. The pages turned by themselves, showing symbols and text in hundreds of languages. The human translation showed rules, thousands and thousands of rules. His heart began to sink as he read them. This is the Codex, Chancellor, Vextar continued. Every species that joins our Federation must follow these laws without question. They have kept peace for 50,000 years. They will keep peace for 50,000 more. Your species will study them. Your species will obey them. Your species will become like us. Ambassador Garrett stepped forward. His voice sounded small in the huge chamber, but it carried clearly. We are honored by this opportunity. May we have time to review these requirements? You may have one standard day. Then you will give your answer. Accept the Codex and join us. Reject it and remain alone among the stars. No species has ever chosen to reject membership. You will not be the first. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The way Chancellor Vextar said those words made them sound like a threat. He looked up at Dr. Chang and saw the same worry on her face. Admiral Karen Hayes received the transmission from the Federation chamber on her flagship orbiting Earth. She read through the military sections of the Codex with growing anger. Humanity would have to destroy all their warships. They would have to close their military academies. They would have to depend completely on Federation forces for protection. No human could carry a weapon larger than a small knife. No human settlement could have more than basic defensive systems. They want us to be helpless, she said to her staff officers. They want us to give up everything that makes us human. Back in the chamber, Dr. Chang continued reading the science sections. Human research would have to be approved by Federation committees. New technologies would have to wait for permission that could take centuries. Humans could not explore space without Federation guides. They could not make contact with other species without Federation observers. They could not even ask questions about how things worked. Engineer Maria Santos read the same sections from her laboratory on Mars. She had spent her life building new things and solving problems. The Codex would end all of that. Every idea would have to be submitted to aliens who thought human creativity was dangerous. Every experiment would have to wait for permission from beings who had not tried anything new in thousands of years. The day passed quickly. Human leaders on every world debated what to do. The Federation offered safety and knowledge beyond imagination. But the price was everything that made humans who they were: their curiosity, their stubborn refusal to accept that something could not be done, their need to find their own way even when others showed them an easier path. Ambassador Garrett stood before the Federation Council again. The chamber was even more crowded than before. Word had spread that humanity might actually consider rejecting membership. Alien beings from across the galaxy had come to see this impossible thing. Chancellor Vextar rose from his crystal throne. "Have you reached a decision? Will humanity join the Federation and accept the peace of the Codex?" Jake held his breath. Dr. Chang leaned forward in her seat. Admiral Hayes watched from her ship. Engineer Santos stopped her work to listen. Across human space, billions of people waited for the words that would decide their future. Ambassador Garrett looked up at the towering alien leader. His voice was steady and clear. "We thank the Federation for this opportunity. We are honored by your offer. But humanity must respectfully decline membership. We will find our own way among the stars." Silence filled the massive chamber. For the first time in 50,000 years, a species had said no to the Federation. Jake felt his heart pounding. They had just changed everything. Admiral Jake Morrison watched the largest fleet in human history prepare for departure from Earth orbit. 7 years had passed since he stood in the Federation Council chamber as a simple exploration captain. Now he commanded the combined forces of the Independent Systems Alliance facing the most critical moment in galactic history. His flagship incorporated technology from dozens of Alliance species, creating a vessel unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Corvani Stealth Systems made it invisible to Federation sensors. Zephyrian shields could withstand the combined firepower of a Federation battle group. Human innovation tied it all together in ways that should have been impossible, but somehow worked perfectly. "Final fleet count, Admiral," his communications officer reported. 2,400 vessels from 47 Alliance worlds. Every ship is equipped with our latest defensive systems and ready for deployment. Jake studied the tactical display showing Alliance forces scattered across multiple star systems. Unlike Federation fleets that moved in predictable formations, his ships operated as independent units connected by quantum communication networks. The enemy would face not one large target, but thousands of small ones working in perfect coordination. Dr. Lisa Chang transmitted her final report from the ISA research facility on Luna. Her team had spent months studying the Federation's control systems using information recovered from ancient archives. The discoveries were staggering and would change everything about the coming conflict. "The Federation's power comes from their control network," she explained to Admiral Morrison during their final briefing. "Every Federation world is connected through quantum communication relays that monitor all activities and enforce compliance with central authority. If we can disrupt this network, their entire government will collapse." "How do we do that?" Morrison asked. "The system has a weakness built into it by its original designers. They included safeguards to prevent any single authority from becoming too powerful. We just need to activate those safeguards using the ancient access codes we discovered." General Maya Rodriguez commanded the liberation fleets tasked with evacuating Federation worlds that requested freedom. Her forces included volunteers from every Alliance species united by their commitment to protecting others who chose independence over security. "Remember our mission," she told her commanders during the final briefing. "We're not conquerors, we're rescuers. Every being we save is choosing freedom over conformity. Every world we liberate proves that alternatives to Federation control can work." Her ships were already moving toward their targets, carrying advanced evacuation equipment and temporary habitats. The operation would be the largest peaceful population transfer in galactic history, involving nearly 10 billion beings who no longer wanted to live under Federation rule. Chancellor Elena Vasquez addressed the galaxy from the ISA Council chambers 1 hour before the Federation deadline expired. The first human elected to lead the Alliance, she spoke not as a conqueror, but as a representative of free peoples everywhere. "Citizens of the galaxy, both Alliance and Federation, we stand at a crossroads that will determine the future of all intelligent life among the stars. For 50,000 years, one authority has claimed the right to control how every species lives and develops. Today, that claim is being challenged not by conquest, but by example. Her words were broadcast on every frequency, reaching even Federation core worlds where such transmissions were forbidden. Across the galaxy, beings who had never heard alternatives to Federation rule listened as she continued. We do not seek to destroy the Federation. We seek to prove that diversity makes us all stronger, that cooperation works better than control, that every species has the right to find its own path among the stars. The Federation response came exactly at the deadline. Chancellor Vextar appeared on official communication channels surrounded by representatives from the most powerful Federation worlds. The illegal organization calling itself the Independent Systems Alliance has refused our generous offer of amnesty. They have chosen rebellion over peace. The Federation Council hereby authorizes the use of all necessary force to restore galactic order. This is not war. This is law enforcement on a galactic scale. Admiral Morrison received the declaration while his fleet moved into position around Nexus Prime, the Federation capital. His ships remained cloaked and undetected, but positioned for what would be the most important mission in human history. All units report ready, Admiral, his tactical officer announced. Dr. Chang's disruption codes are loaded and ready for transmission. General Rodriguez confirms all evacuation fleets are in position. Very well, Morrison replied. Begin Operation Freedom. The first phase involved the simultaneous activation of ancient safeguards in the Federation control network. Dr. Chang's team transmitted activation codes to quantum relays across Federation space. The effect was immediate and devastating to Central Authority. On thousands of Federation worlds, local communication systems suddenly stopped reporting to Central Command. Monitoring networks that had watched every citizen for millennia went silent. Enforcement systems that prevented unauthorized travel or communication shut down completely. The second phase began as General Rodriguez's evacuation fleets arrived at their assigned worlds. Instead of the resistance they expected, they found Federation populations celebrating their freedom from constant surveillance. Billions of beings who had lived under absolute control for their entire lives were experiencing independence for the first time. Admiral Morrison watched from orbit as the third phase unfolded around Nexus Prime itself. Instead of attacking the Federation capital, his fleet did something unprecedented. They offered safe passage to any Federation species that chose to leave. The response shocked everyone, including Morrison himself. Entire Federation fleets began surrendering and requesting asylum in Alliance space. Worlds that had been Federation members for thousands of years declared independence and asked for ISA protection. Chancellor Vextar appeared on emergency broadcasts, demanding that all Federation citizens ignore the terrorist propaganda and remain loyal to Central Authority. But the safeguards activated by Dr. Chang's team prevented the enforcement mechanisms that had kept the Federation together for millennia. All Federation units, this is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Independent Systems Alliance. We are not here to conquer or destroy. We are here to offer choice. Any world that wishes to remain with the Federation may do so. Any world that chooses independence will be protected. The decision is yours to make. The transformation was swift and overwhelming. Within days of the safeguards activation, over half the Federation's member worlds had declared independence. Most requested admission to the ISA, while others chose complete neutrality. Only the core worlds around Nexus Prime maintained loyalty to the old system. Elena Vasquez addressed the new galactic situation from a joint council session, including both Alliance representatives and moderate Federation leaders who supported reform. We propose a new structure for galactic civilization, she announced. Not one authority controlling everyone, but a confederation of free peoples choosing their own paths while working together for common goals. The final confrontation came, not as a battle, but as a choice. Chancellor Vextar found himself ruling less than 50 worlds while thousands of others had chosen freedom. Faced with complete collapse, he made the decision that ended 50,000 years of rigid galactic control. The Federation Council hereby dissolves its authority over former member worlds, he announced in what became known as the Nexus Accords. Each species has the right to determine its own future. The age of mandatory conformity is over. Admiral Morrison returned to Earth as a hero, but found himself more interested in exploration than conquest. His ships were already being converted from military vessels to exploration craft designed to seek out new civilizations and offer them real choice about their future. Ambassador Paul Garrett, the man who had first rejected Federation membership, 7 years earlier stood once again in the Great Council chamber on Nexus Prime. But now it housed representatives from hundreds of free worlds, each following their own path, while working together for the common good. "We found our own way," he said, addressing the assembled delegates, "and we invited others to find theirs too. The galaxy is big enough for all of us." The new confederation that emerged from the collapse of the Federation had no capital world and no central authority. Decisions were made by consensus and participation was completely voluntary. Species could join, leave, or remain neutral as they chose. The only universal law was that no world could be forced to adopt any other world's way of life. Humanity had started a revolution by simply saying no to rules they did not want to follow. In the end, they had not destroyed galactic civilization, but had helped it grow into something better, something that celebrated differences instead of demanding conformity, something that proved cooperation was stronger than control. The stars were finally free and every species could write their own path among them.